Hello, all you fine foxy people out there. It's me, Anthium. Welcome to Two Tales. And I'll tell you what, I am having a doozy of a week already, and nothing is going smoothly. So this morning, 5:30 this morning, I was up getting ready for work, and I caught a video posted by Relic Gamer. Shout out to him. And he was talking about whether or not the Amico is overpriced. And he broke it down into the components and the price of the chips and all that sort of thing. And this is a topic that has been discussed before. The Atari Creep has a different breakdown of the actual value of the system. And it occurred to me, outside of saying, hey, I really like the system and we pre-ordered stuff, I've never really talked about my perspective on it. So I'm gonna do three things here. I'm gonna talk about the Amico and how I view my purchase of the Amico. What I think is being missed by a lot of other viewers out there. And I think that's actually a fault of the industry because of the way the industry has geared itself over decades now. And of course, I'm going to talk about the noise, the scam noise out there. And it's really just nothing but noise. But of course, anyone who knows anything about how the internet and social media works, it only takes a small amount of people making noise to cause a really large ripple on the internet social community. So things like this I find to be a little bit important. And then last, a little bit of an announcement. So the Amico, $250 for the console. That's the argument that's being put forward, and they're saying that it's overpriced. Here's what's being missed and why that is exactly a disingenuous argument. What are we basing that off of? We could go down and look at the components, but let's be honest. The most average person who is supposedly the target market for Intellivision isn't going to care what the chip is or how the board is made. And things like how many LED lights and what those can do and the passive cooling is really neat information, because I got a video coming up on the LEDs because I had to kick myself because it's like one of my favorite things. And I've not talked about it other than asking Tommy a few questions about the LEDs. So that'll be coming up some other time, something fun to look forward to. But I, for one, thought, like, if you're talking about electronics with moving parts, whatever have you, you had to have an official cooling system. The fact that it's passive blows my mind, right? So don't just presume everybody out there understands exactly how important cooling is. It's an important topic. But talking about the Amico, so what are we basing the idea that $250 is overpriced, right? We're basing it off experience from the gaming community, right? The industry. And what does the industry show us? You get a console, you get a controller. And if you get a game with a bundle, it's going to cost a little bit more, right? That's what we're basing it off of. So if we compare that with the Amico, let's take away the things that the Amico has and bring it down to that equal footing, right? So it has an extra controller, and we've established that the price range is going to fall around $50. So we'll deduct the $50, and we know that it comes with 6 packed-in games at no additional charge. So presuming they're the highest quality Intellivision can offer, that's a $10 price point. That's another $60 off. So we're going to take $110 off combined for those extra add-ons to bring it down to a console and one controller. And that makes the price point $149, right where they promised it would actually be. Now, if you go even further and remove the second controller at $50, the console itself is about $100. So the question is the console worth $100? My opinion, based on LED lights and what I know working in tech and that sort of thing, absolutely. Here is the point that I think, and not everyone, right, but the vocal few do not want to acknowledge. The Amico is not just a console and a controller. It's a console and 2 controllers with support for a group. The Amico's base unit is a family bundle. It has everything a purchaser needs to sit down and play with an entire family or an extended group of friends, right? So that's your question, right? So you're having a party. You're going to a bowling alley. You're going to Chuck E. Cheese, whatever have you. How much is that going to cost you to socialize with a group of 8 or more people? But let's move from that, because that's how I view it. The Amico is a family system. I'm a family guy. I'm pro-family, and it's the Intellivision's mission that has got me truly won over now that I've seen what they're doing. The Amico is designed to sell at $250 as a family bundle, right? Wrap your minds around that. It's not about one person buying a console to play by themselves. It's about a group buying a console that can cater to an entire group of people. right? And $250, I personally think, is reasonable, especially when you start breaking down what's coming in that actual bundle. So let's move to the topic, right? That the Amico is a scam. That's just noise. I mean, let's really consider this. So scam is the idea of misleading people to get money over something that doesn't actually have the value. Arguably, it has the value. I think that it actually does. But here's the problem. So they are what? They don't actually have the capital to do it. Well, in the last 2 to 3 years, Intellivision has expanded not into global markets, purchasing buildings and opening offices around the world. They've expanded their locations in the continental US as well, right? So they're not wanting for money. They're hiring thousands of people, and that's not even counting the contracts for independent developers. So when you say that the Amico is a scam, and you try to pin that on Tommy or Intellivision, you're really dangerously close to making an accusation that is demonstrably false. Because not only do you have that Intellivision is not wanting for money and is expanding, and all that expansion happened generally well before pre-orders started happening. You have a paper record of patent pendings. You have a paper record of because you can go and check out that what is actually being passed by the consumer regulations testing, the extreme testing and so forth. A lot of that stuff it's done by government facilities and government standards is trackable. So saying, well, they didn't design it themselves. They have the patent pendings. It's not belonging to other companies. The Amico's patent pendings belong to Intellivision. You can look that stuff up. Beating the drum, even now, years in, after the reveals and the demonstrations are coming out and claiming that this is a scam, that this is taking advantage of people. And that's not even talking about the fact that it's actually refundable. So the moment that it's refundable and they're not trying to keep your money, it debunks the scam argument. Hey, dude. Don't mind me. I'm on camera right now.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm at work. That's one of my buddies. But the point there is the argument's old. And it's tired. And it's disproven. Reasonably disproven. Let me cover all the bases there. We're going to say it's reasonably, demonstrably proven false. I personally think it's a slam dunk that it's actually disproven altogether, but I don't speak for other people. It's just my perspective. So as you continue to hammer that this is a scam and ignore the fact that it's disingenuous to say, well, it's expensive for just a console, when it's not a console. It's a console, 6 games, 2 controllers. I mean, and let's compare that, for example, right? So the comparison here is that it's a ripoff compared to, say, what? The Xbox Series S. Okay, so let's really compare this here. You can't compare the hardware. The Xbox Series S is definitely going to be more powerful, right? But the S is all digital. So you lose access to the physical media. They effectively have control of the servers and your downloadability and your playability and that sort of thing. But based on typical industry execution, what are you going to get when you buy that Series S for the $300, that $50 more? You're going to get the console and one controller, right? So now you got to buy a new next-gen controller, which is expected to be about 70 plus some odd dollars. So that $300 console for 2 people is effectively $370, closing in on $400. And that's not even talking about games. But then there's the argument, but it's backwards compatible with all the previous Xbox generations. So what you're saying is I can spend $300 on a system to play games I already own, and where I could take my system out of the attic and play them for free anyway. Why do I care about playing games for free that I already own, that I can already play for free? The reality of the matter is the two systems aren't comparable. The screaming about it being a scam, move on. It's old and it's tired. It's disproven. I've had a pretty lousy day so far. So I apologize for the attitude, I'm not sorry for my attitude at all. But the next video is going to be focused on the LEDs for the Amico. I think it's worth talking about, and that's going to be a lot more fun. Now, here's the announcement for the channel. All right, so a week and a half to 2 weeks have gone by. The poll and vote is done, and by a large margin, the project named Paper Ninja, hands down, won like 15-1. It was a one-sided vote. Now, everyone knows I'm not really sharing that to protect the idea. So what I'm going to do in the LED thing, because using the LED lights will be part of that conversation, is I'm going to elaborate on an idea that I would love to see to come to the Amico, and how the LED lights would work, interactive and not disrupt gameplay and all that stuff. And you will get a detailed breakdown of that, because this is about sharing imagination and the adventure. And I'm a thinker that's trying to become a doer. And I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys. All the best to you fine people out there. Two Tails out.